Hello and welcome back to Rev Real Estate School. I'm your host, Michael Montgomery, and today we're talking about how you can take more time off during the week as a real estate agent. Now, this is a very hard concept for us to wrap our heads around as real estate agents. Oftentimes, what we think is by allowing our schedule to be open for our clients, that we are being more accommodating and they're having a better experience. But that, in fact, is not always true. Instead, what we end up losing is a lot of our energy, a lot of our excitement around real estate. And in fact, what this can lead to is burnout. And so first off, I do have full disclosure here. I am not great at this. I have not been great at this up until later on in my career when I learned this, in fact, the hard way. And I've gone through a couple of burnouts in my career, one of which was a lot more major than the other. And during these burnouts, you just stop enjoying real estate. You just stop enjoying your day-to-day work. And you become actually quite resentful of the work. So when a client calls you and they want to see a place, you become more resentful of that. And that's not a place that you want to be as an agent. And so by taking time off, you're avoiding that actually from occurring. And by doing so, you also are making yourself more energetic, more interesting, and you're allowing yourself to have interests outside of just real estate. But how do we go about doing this? Well, the strategy that has worked very well for us is taking 2 days off a week. Now, that doesn't seem doable for a lot of us. How do we actually do this? Well, in fact, it is very doable. First time I started to do this, I started by taking 1 day off a week, and that was okay. I took Sundays off, and that tended to work okay. Now, I did end up doing some work on Sundays if there was an offer that came in or there was something urgent that had to be handled. We'll talk about that shortly. Generally speaking, I didn't book appointments on Sundays. And that, in fact, was great. That tended to work very, very well. But what I realized is that wasn't necessarily enough. I needed more time for myself to really recharge those batteries. So I needed to take another day. And so what I selected was Wednesday. And so when I started to take my Wednesdays off, I started by sitting on the couch. I didn't really know what to do. And I was just had tons of anxiety. I was like, why am I not working right now? Everyone else in the world is working right now. It's a Wednesday afternoon. What am I doing sitting here? And I had all of these thoughts, all these limiting beliefs, and I became quite strange in a sense. Like I was quite anxious and I didn't know what to do with myself. Now, that got quite a bit better the second time and the third time. By the fourth time, it actually became really relaxing to take that day. So understand when you're starting out with this process, if you're not used to this, the first few times you take a day or even an afternoon to yourself, it's going to feel strange. And that's okay. You want to sit with that because as time goes on, you're going to learn to appreciate that. And then in fact, you're going to look forward to it. And this is going to re-energize you. So on a Tuesday, you can think about what you're going to be doing with your time off on a Wednesday or on a Saturday at your open house. You might also be thinking about what activity you have planned on a Sunday. And this will lift our spirits, make us more optimistic, and make us more enjoyable to be around, generally speaking, which can improve our business. So let's talk more about how we can actually do this. And what you'll notice when you start to do this is, as we've been discussing, your energy, enthusiasm will be better, but you're also going to become a more interesting person. And this concept I find to be extremely powerful. And that's because in real estate, we're constantly talking to people. I actually had an event a few days ago. We had a bunch of clients over to our house and we were talking, we were having a great time. And during that time, we weren't talking as much about real estate. Yes, real estate came up, of course. But that being said, a lot of times I was talking about my clients and what they're up to and what they're doing this summer. And by having that conversation, I could relate to them because somebody was on a softball team, somebody was playing golf. So I asked them about a certain golf course. And I wouldn't have had this opportunity to have these discussions if I didn't actually explore interests outside of real estate. And so by exploring these interests outside of real estate, I was able to connect with these people better, which then made them like and trust me more, which improved my real estate business. So all of these things, we think by taking time off, we're actually hurting our business. We're not. We can actually be helping our business, but we do have to find the right balance. If we go too far in the other direction, we take too much time off, of course, we're not going to produce. But if we don't take enough time off, we're going to burn out. We're actually going to be quite boring as individuals because we're not going to have a life outside of real estate. So how are we going to relate to people when we're discussing normal everyday life topics with them? So there is a balance that we need to find, and the 2 days a week seems to work quite well. So here is the protocol. The protocol is taking 2 days off, but they have to be non-consecutive days. So taking 2 consecutives, a Saturday and a Sunday, can be quite challenging, especially because we have client needs that are coming in on a Friday or on a Saturday. And if we don't get back to them until a Monday, that could be too long. And so consecutive days I find to be quite challenging. So I choose non-consecutive days. Choose 2 non-consecutive days. I love Wednesday and I love Sunday. Sunday tends to be just a more relaxing day, generally speaking. And then Wednesday is that middle of the week. And that really breaks up the week quite nicely. And so what I'm going to do on these days is anything I want except for real estate. Where your mind first might go is great. I'm going to sit in bed and I'm going to watch Netflix all day. And I'll tell you, one of the first times I did that, and I did actually do this, and I would suggest that everybody try that. Go ahead and try and take a day of watching Netflix. It's not that exciting, and it's not that much fun. You think it's going to be a lot of fun, but in fact, it's not. But if that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it. So you're just not allowed to do anything real estate related. So no prospecting, no looking up comparables, no looking up properties. It has to be anything outside of real estate. Now, if you're thinking you might be a special case where this may not work, that's perfectly fine because there are special cases out there. And that's what we're going to discuss next. The first special case is when somebody tends to take more time off during the day regularly. So let's say between 2 to 6 p.m. you just don't work ever. You just never work between 2 and 6 p.m. throughout the week. Well, then taking 2 additional days off might be pushing it. So in those cases, I would just take 1 full day off or take 2 afternoons off instead, while still maintaining your 2 to 6 p.m. time where you just don't work any day of the week. So that's one potential special case. Another special case is if you're a newer agent and you're really in grind mode and you're really trying to get your business up and running. And so taking too much time off may not work. Well, you still should take time off, but instead, I would do 2 afternoons and evenings. So instead of doing all day Wednesday, all day Sunday, I would work until noon on Wednesday and work until noon on Sunday and take the remainder of the day and evening off. Now, this strategy can work very well for those who are in growth mode or those who are hustling to really build their business while still understanding the need to take time off. And the third special case is somebody who is selling real estate to live versus living to sell real estate. And so this concept we've heard of those people that work to live versus live to work. There is nothing wrong with choosing real estate as a career in order to support your lifestyle. There is nothing wrong with that decision. Oftentimes we're made to think that we all just need to grind and work as hard as we can in order to build up the biggest business and have the biggest GCI, when in fact there's a lot of us out there that want to make a great living and still want to enjoy our lives. In fact, I would say that's the majority of real estate agents out there. And now, although that might be the majority of real estate agents out there, 2 days off a week should still be good for the majority of us. However, if you want more time, take more time. Take 3 days if you'd like. Understand that that will come at the expense of potentially growing your business as quickly or as much, but that's a trade-off that may make sense for you. And that's a trade-off that nobody can tell you whether that's a trade-off you're willing to make or not. So it's okay to take more time off. And that's actually the beauty of real estate, is you can choose to take 3 days off if you'd like. It may just come at the expense of some of your business. And so this is where the balance really comes in. And 2 days off a week tends to work very well for the majority of real estate agents. Next, what are we going to do with our time off? And so we've already discussed this. We've discussed this concept of just sitting around and watching movies all day may not be as exciting as we think it might be. However, if you are of the mindset that that is going to be the most enjoyable day, then do it. And the beautiful thing about taking a day off like this, the amazing thing about it is it's guilt-free. And so typically when we're watching Netflix, we're feeling guilty. We're feeling guilty that we should be working, but instead we're doing something that is enjoyable. And so this guilt really comes into play. And so if on your day off you choose to watch Netflix, that is perfectly fine. And you do not have to feel guilt in doing that because it's your time. It's your time to rest and recharge however you see fit. However, what I've found in taking this time off is I've really started to get drawn towards certain personal activities. And so certain personal interests that I have, this can be a great opportunity to try them. So if you're into personal development, if you're into reading, if you're into fitness, whatever you're into, you can really start to explore these deeper on these days off. You can take courses, you can read different books, you can try different activities. And so what I would suggest to you is do whatever you would like as long as it's not real estate related. However, also try different activities. Explore these different interests that you have outside of real estate, because that's what these days are great for. Now, alternatively, these days can be great for spending time with family and friends, so you can still be socializing during these days too. And in fact, in doing that, we're kind of prospecting too, but we're not allowed to think of it like that. Instead, we need to be thinking about this purely from a relaxation and an enjoyment standpoint. Now, this all may sound great, but you're probably also wondering what happens when clients are calling you on your days off and they want to see properties on your day off. Well, the first trick here is to truly block the day off in your calendar. And mine is truly blocked off. Like nobody from my team, nobody can actually book me because my day is completely blocked off. It says Mike off and it's all in caps. So there's no way of anybody potentially booking me because my calendar directly says that. And what I'll do is I will book appointments around that. And so if somebody wants to see properties and they say, hey, can we go out on Wednesday? I'll say, does Tuesday or Thursday work? I'm tied up on Wednesday. And 9 times out of 10, it does. Actually, more than 9 times out of 10. Almost always that tends to work. So you just don't book things on those days. And one mistake that I made early on in this is I would just book one call, or I would just handle a few emails. And what I found in doing that is, one call turns into more research that then turns into a follow-up email. And then before you know it, you're working for a couple hours. So take no calls, do no emails, nothing. Almost everything can wait. Almost everything is non-urgent. Now, if there is something urgent, an urgency typically is related to an offer, can be other factors, but most of the time it's an offer. If that is the case, I will handle the offer. I will definitely handle and do what I need to do. However, if I end up working on Wednesday night, then I might take Thursday night off. So just because I'm working that day, it will then move on to the next day and they'll start to accumulate. And so with that being said, I understand that I still get my time off. However, I'm very clear about not booking anything for those days. And that's been extremely helpful. And finally, on these days off, a great tip is don't respond to emails. Don't respond to emails because as soon as you start responding to emails, they're going to come back to you. And so on my days off, I just won't respond to emails. Most of these emails can wait until the next day. And I will even snooze them. In Gmail, I would just snooze them until the next morning. And then they'll come in the next morning and I'll handle them at that point in time. Because it's just like a game of ping pong. As soon as I ping pong that email back to somebody, they're going to ping pong it back to me. By not scheduling anything, that's fine. But I just don't ping pong any emails back over so that it doesn't end up coming back to me. And by doing that, you'll notice fewer emails will come in. You'll notice that yes, you may get the odd call. However, most calls, most texts can wait. However, I will still respond to a client text. I will still respond to a client incoming call. However, I'll tend to cut it off short if I can, if it's not urgent, or if it's something they just want to discuss. Generally speaking, I'll say, I'm pretty tied up today. How's tomorrow? And then almost always it tends to work. It just tends to work. But oftentimes we're just fearful that it's not going to. So make sure you take time off. This is extremely helpful for growing yourself as a person, but then also maintaining those energy levels as a real estate agent. Thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode. Remember, you can reach out anytime. I'm on Instagram at the.michael.montgomery, or you can head over to revrealestateschool.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next lesson.